So when I was 7, I recall sitting one time and envisioning my future. And I swear to God that in my future, I always envisioned myself being a filmmaker who owned a filming village, what Americans call studio lots in Hollywood. That is where you have these elaborate sets that look like real world places. Now, these studio lots are usually put up so that you don't have to film in the streets when people are just trying to get to work, when what. That's what those studio lots are. And for me, at the young age of 7, that's what I thought. But you see, that therein is where the problem lie. And it's not that the problem wasn't that I was 7 dreaming about my future. The problem was I saw myself becoming a filmmaker. But I remember at that time, my parents were telling me, "Oh, we're that doctor," because I was sharp, I was topping classes, I was doing all the other things, and I was like, "Oh, uh, okay." Because my position, the position I've been born in, the only girl, the sharpest kid. I don't want to say sharpest, but I'm a sharp kid. And the only girl and the eldest daughter, I think I've said those two at the same time. But yeah, I knew my the odds were stacked pretty much against me. So I would continue to what? I would continue to live like that, like my entire life, putting aside any truth that I thought was whispering within me about my future. Silent. I was keeping all that silent. But let me tell you guys, there's something about your truth speaking to you about day one, and the mistake is you thinking you can silence it forever. You can't. Once your truth has come to you in your spirit and you know the truth, take it about anything. Maybe the truth about your future, the truth about something. You can't silence that voice for too long. You silence it, you're only hurting yourself. Because that's what happened to me. I remember the first day I was in my law lecture. It was a lecture about criminal law. It was the very first physical class we had. Because up until that moment, we were doing online classes, COVID and all that stuff. So when we had our first physical class, I remember we were doing it with our teaching assistant, the tutor. And she asked a difficult question. But you guys, I saw no one was answering the question. So I put up my hand and I said the correct answer. And, she was like, correct. And you guys, I recall getting this rush of energy. I was like, wait, is this it? Is this, am I meant for this? You guys, that feeling immediately washed away. It washed away. Like, I don't even know what metaphor to use here, but it just washed away quickly. And I always thought, it's going to come back. So day after day, I sat in class. I said, "Oh, this thing is going to come." But you guys, that rush, if it ever was to come, or if it wherever it went, it probably went to the Antarctica, and I don't know, was promising to come back after doing its entire vacation. But you see, while I was waiting for that rush to come back, I remember sitting in class and I would see this girl. She was my classmate. She's a very beautiful, intelligent girl. She was very sharp, very good looking, and she had the full package. Not to mention, she's even God fearing. I would mention her name, but for privacy reasons, I'll keep it a secret. But I would see her in class, and she would be answering questions, and you would see this fire burning. Oh my goodness! And I would envy her, but for a good reason. The good kind of envy of what I want to have that kind of passion, but I know that passion, it does not burn for law school. It burns for somewhere else. Now, I've told you guys on this channel several times that I've always done I not have always done, but I started self discovery. So one time I sat down with myself. I'm like, okay, so what is it like? What is there for us? And I recall sitting down to just start writing. You guys, I remember writing my very first article. And I remember I was writing articles for our website. It was for free, but you think I cared? I didn't. And to make matters worse, I remember there was a time during holidays when I met a man in a barber shop and he asked me that, "What course do you study?" And then I told him, "I do law." And he was like, "Is that what you want to do in the future?" And he was like, "Be honest with me, guys. This is someone random man I met. It wasn't even a barber shop. It was, I remember it was these passport photos studios. This man, just out of the blue, he asked me. And I told him, "No, I don't want to be a lawyer." Then he was like, "Okay, for you, what do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to be, if anything, I would love to be a writer." It's like, "So why didn't you do journalism?" Then I told him how I wanted to do journalism, but my parents were like, "No, do law. It's a more safer, whatever thing." And to be honest, I know if my parents watch this, I'm really sorry, mommy and daddy. But that was gaslighting. It's not good. At least let me try the course. Anyway, the gentleman, when I told him about the whole, my parents didn't want me to do, journalism and, law was safe, he was like, okay, but while you're doing law, eh, try on the side. Try writing to newspapers. Try writing to any place, articles and all these things. Try just writing, putting your work out there. And see, if after writing you feel like it's something you want to do, then you know what to do. But if it isn't, by all means, continue being a doctor. The moment he let those words out of write to newspapers, submit articles, do all these things, you guys, something sparked in me. I knew in that moment that that is exactly what I wanted to do. So I remember seeing this advert. I think my friend had posted on his status about looking for writers for their website for mental health. And I remember I was like, I've been to rehab, so I know a thing or two about mental health, and I love writing. So I applied. When I got the job, you guys, I wrote like my life depended on it. I wrote like my life depended on those articles. And I recall my mom and aunt were very, very proud to see me doing all that stuff. I remember my mom sent me money just for having good writing. Mind you, I dropped literature in senior two. You know, those of us who drop subjects. So I dropped it in senior two. So I wrote like my life depended on it. And you guys, every day, the same passion my classmate had in class was the one that was burning. So I had this friend whom I had a falling out with, but I never actually like sat down to have a conversation with him. He bumped into me one day and was like, "Hey Chloe, I'm so sorry for what I did that time for the falling out." And I remember looking at him profusely, apologizing and remembering, oh my god, I had actually forgiven this guy, but I just hadn't given him the room to like speak with me. So when he apologized and all that stuff, I was like, "It's okay, I forgive you." And he was like, "Hey, I have this film project I'm working on. Would you like to be part of it?" I was like, "Hell yeah, sign me up." You guys, I wrote and I felt alive. You guys, I cannot tell you how feeling alive was for me at that time. So we wrote the film. It's actually out. It's on YouTube. It's called My First Year. I'll link it here or I'll put it here and you guys can watch it. I wrote it and that is when I knew I cannot silence this beast of writing any longer. However, because of my position again, being the only girl, blah, 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 and those many other positions in my life, I knew this wasn't my decision to make. Imagine after all the toiling we had put into me being in law school, my mom had really worked hard, paying my tuition and all the fights and things we really fought for. I decided to stay. But one thing I want you guys to leave with from this video is that sometimes you may think turning off that silent voice, that thing that's telling you what you're meant to do, your truth, something that you're supposed to do. If you think you can silence that thing forever, you can't. It comes for you at some point. And sometimes it comes for you when you're at your worst. Don't wait for that time to come. If I were you anyway. But I'm not you, but you can decide. But you can't silence that truth. So what is that truth that is speaking to you right now? Ask yourself that question. Let me know down in the comment section, or you can hit me up on IG. My socials are linked below. Now, in the next video, I'm going to be telling you guys about the time I decided to enter a competition and won, and that is when I realized my real purpose in life. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Ciao, Bella. Bye.